Happy Thursday, testimonial call. This is my favorite call of the entire week. This is where we bring people on. This is a completely unscripted call, meaning our guests never know the questions that are coming at them. Okay, so this is an awesome opportunity for new sales partners. We've got a lot of new sales partners on here from all over the United States. We have sales partners on here that have been around the block, that have been here, that have already been a guest on this call. And just a little history, we've been doing this call for over 4 years. Every week we have somebody new that's getting some business, or we've brought on CEOs from other companies outside of the industry. We've brought on people that I know from the industry that run their own business. We've brought on merchants to actually share how well the cash discount program has gone for them. So the Thursday testimonial call, 80 to 90% of the time will be with sales partners. So we're going over, hey, how do you get started? What's working out in the field? And you're only going to hear from people that are getting business. But you also will hear from merchants and CEOs and all sorts of good stuff. So there's a reason why it's my favorite call. Every single week we get great nuggets. There's always something new, no matter how long you've been around. That's why we get vets on here, because there's always something new to learn from people. I learn something on every single testimonial call. And then every single testimonial call, there's a lot of things that you'll hear that are you'll hear common themes, right? When we talk to people about what works, what's working, what are you doing? There is a common theme. If you went over every single one over 4 years, there's common themes that successful people are using, they're applying, and things that they're doing. So we're already 2 minutes in here. I try not to make this call super long, so let's get into it. I want to introduce tonight's guest. Dustin is a dear friend of mine. Let me find Johnny. I'm going to unmute you. Dustin's a dear friend of mine. I've known Dustin for a long time. He is absolutely on fire. He was at 6 deals in 3 days out in the field. We're going to talk more about that. And Dustin and me have known each other quite a long time. Dustin, can you hear me? You unmuted?
I can, Joe. Yes, I can.
All right, man. Welcome. The spotlight is on, Dustin. You're back. Right. Did you make it back home from the field?
I literally just walked in my door here and opened up our webinar. So
perfect. Yep. Always on the grind. So Dustin, I could sit here for a long time and talk about you, but I'm going to let you do that because this is your call. So why don't you share with people who's Dustin Glueckert? Even go back before, Easy Pay and merchant processing. Like where do you come from? What's your background? Are you entrepreneur family or not? Or what's your story?
Wow, you're putting me on the spot here, Joe. But no, I come from Montana. I mean, we're small town folks here. But I come from a mom and dad. They they had the 9-to-5 jobs and things like that. And I just kind of wanted more. When I went to college, I did that thing, but just kind of get into it. I got into real estate, and I built a property management company, and it became one of the largest property management companies in the state of Montana. And it took blood, sweat, and tears to get to that point. And what I found out is I was working 60 to 70 hours a week. I had no time for my family. I had no time for myself, for my health, to do things I love to do, like hike, ski, fish, hunt, things like that. And I actually ended up selling the company here last year, walked away from it. And, Joe, just to be honest with everyone, Joe's been a great friend of mine. And, it was good to see him be successful in the business and being his friend throughout the years. I was like, man, I would really like something where I had some more freedom. And I was blessed to jump into this opportunity and find out that, you definitely do have to put in the work. There's nothing, it takes nothing but hard work to get to work.
And we'll get to that. I'm trying to go have a nice timeline here. Before running your own business, you said you went to college. Can't remember the line you used. I chuckle. You're like, I did that thing, right? Like that thing.
Right.
You had some other history before you were a business owner. Do you come from a bloodline of entrepreneurs? Is this something that the whole family rallies around and thinks it's just the greatest thing in the world, or what's your background to that?
It's kind of, I'll share this, Joe, and I'm just going to be blunt and truthful on that. I don't come from a family of entrepreneurs. I come from a family that, they went to work right after college. They worked for a company. My mom's a teacher. Just to let you guys know, my mom's a first grade teacher. My dad was a lineman. They believed in working for the man, I guess, so to say. So I did not. So I really broke that mold in my family. And when I first started out, I mean, they weren't very supportive, but now, my family sees some of the success I've had and is very supportive. So, you may get some doubters out there your first years or so, but it's
that was crucial, man. Years with a plural, and I asked that question on purpose because, folks, we get people on these testimonial calls that come from all walks of life, all right, from all over the place, different ages. We've had people as old as 80 years old. We've had first grade teachers that are huge successes. We have people, Dustin didn't share, he used to be a firefighter, doesn't come from an entrepreneurial background, and that's always one of the first things I go over, because as you listen to more and more of these testimonial calls, there's no right size, or shape fits all. No matter where you are in your life, no matter what your background is, that does not determine your success and getting onto these calls and building a business here. And it's always one of the first things I like to point out. And you said something really important there, because we hear this a lot from people who don't come from an entrepreneurial background, is they may not have everyone's support at first. You even used the word the first years with plural, right? So obviously we all want that everyone's support around us, but sometimes when you find something that there's a bigger picture, and I can tell you the same thing. I mean, I showed my mom some pretty serious money years ago, and she still thought I should get a normal job. Okay. So, I mean, it's just going to, it's okay. If you understand what you're in, if you understand the big picture, keep plowing forward. Now that's not the case with my mom. Eventually they'll understand. So anyways,
it took a good couple years, and I could go way back, Joe, when I was a firefighter, but I did not come from an entrepreneurial background at all. So
at one point you got into merchant services. Again, I've known Dustin for a long time. Okay. And we're gonna let people know the real background here. Okay. So Dustin, I met Dustin when I first got into payment processing, quite a while ago. And that was before Dustin did the property management company that he was just talking about. So we have a lot of people on here. They have some merchant service experience. What happened? Why? So Dustin got out of the industry, right? So how long were you in the industry without it taking 15 minutes? How long were you in it? Why'd you get out? What's the story there?
So I got in, I got out of firefighting. I found out that, scraping people off the side of the road was not what I wanted to do with my life. And just through the grapevine of folks, I found a company that I started working for in Spokane, Washington. And it was awesome. I loved it. I mean, we had a great environment. We had a great team of people, and I found out that, the hardest thing about this business was literally picking up the phone or getting out of the front door of the car, and I knew I could do two of those things. I knew I could pick the phone up. I knew I could get out of the front door of the car, So I loved it. It really took hold of me right away. I actually built up about, a very large sales book, and I ventured out and actually opened up my own office in Portland, Oregon. I loved Portland, Oregon. Oregon's a beautiful state. I've always wanted to live there, and I worked out in Portland, Oregon for about 2 years doing this. And just to be honest with you, Joe, I missed Montana. Like I shared with you guys before, I love to hunt, fish, hike. I missed Montana, the way of life in Montana. And so I walked away from the business, and I found, which we went into a little bit, real estate, and so I've started business.
Sticking with the payment processing, because I want to make a point. I want everyone to understand this here. You moved back to Montana. What happened with the company? Not all the details, but you had built something. Did you bring that with you?
I did not, Joe. So I worked with a company that we went under. They went under, and they actually, just to be blunt about it, they took folks as residuals, and
Yeah.
we didn't have a good agreement with them. So I
That's
lost everything I worked for.
that's what I'm getting at. And later I'm going to circle back, and obviously you're back in the industry. So you built this business, wrong company, right? I was there too. Built it with the wrong company, but you, at that point, you had the entrepreneur running through your blood. So you went back to Montana. You started.
Yeah, so I went back home, man. I'll be honest with you. I moved back in with my mom and dad. I moved back in the basement of my parents' house. I was 28 years old, man, and that was a definite reality check. But it didn't shatter me. It didn't shatter my hunger. I continued to, I wanted something that paid residual income, and I went into property management because it was similar to merchant services. I found out later that it's not exactly like that, but it's not 100% like residual income, but
I wasn't going to go in this order, but let's do it, because this is really important. It's why I asked you, because you're a guest that has this experience, and a lot of people on here may be new, but there's also people on here with experience, and this is really important. So you built a huge book and lost it, right? He didn't go choose and stay at mom's house. He lost his business. They took it from him. Happened to me too, but I won't share my story. But you're back in the industry. So after something so sour, what has you here with EasyPay?
How did I get here with EasyPay?
Yeah, why are you with EasyPay? If you had that kind of experience in the industry once, tell us about that. Why are you with EasyPay specifically?
One, we have a great back end office with EasyPay. Joe is a great CEO and leader of EasyPay, and we have agreements that say we have lifetime residuals, that we're protected, and that's why I'm here, man. I mean, simple. We're protected, and we have a great product. We have an amazing product. I've seen other merchant services products, you guys. Seriously, we have a great product. There's not a lot of products that do what we do. So that's why I'm here. I mean, it's just really simple.
I appreciate that, and I drilled on that because I see a couple of vets on here. So I appreciate that. Me and Dustin have both been there, so we take it really serious. People that are working here with us we know what it feels like to work at something that gets taken away from you. So I just wanted to throw that out there because Dustin had that experience in your back. I really appreciate it, Dustin. So Dustin, you're out killing it in the field. Let's talk about the field. People want to hear, how do you sign 6 deals in 3 days? What do you do? What do you say? I don't know if you have a magic line, but what is your experience out there before we get into lines or what you're doing? What is it like out there right now? Things just opened up in Montana. The virus is kind of passing. Yeah. What is the vibe? What's going on out there?
So things have opened up. Folks are ready to make changes. They've seen, where they need to cut corner costs, And for me, honestly, what's really working for me is just having a good attitude. And you walk into some of these businesses and you're lightening these folks' day. You're cracking jokes with them. I just have fun. I just have fun out in the field. I thoroughly just enjoy meeting with people and seeing their unique businesses and understanding what they do. And that's really honestly what I've been doing. And there's a lot of attraction for sure for me. It's people, right? With everything that's gone on right now, people are ready to make changes. They understand that in order to keep their doors open, things need to change. And, that we have an option for them to, eliminate their costs, give them great, customer service that they deserve, and we're here for them. And kind of the way I approach it is, I'm your local guy. I'm your guy. You don't have to call and wait on hold for 30 minutes. I'm your guy. I'm here. And that's the way I've been getting accounts.
That's
And
awesome.
so people are very, very excited to to switch to us, because one, we're able to eliminate that, that 95% of their fees. And truly, I literally, they get out their statements sometimes, and I will break down their statements. I understand how to read statements. I will show them line for line the fees that they're paying to their company, and why they should, why they need to eliminate those. And so that's.
So what's the look on somebody's face and they pull out a $1,200 bill, and you actually break it down and say, hey, how does 90 sound? After COVID, they're looking to cut corners. What kind of responses are you getting?
So I'm getting, on the larger deals that I've signed, when they're pulling out, a statement that shows a $1,200 bill, and then I'm showing them that I can do the same thing for them for 90. They're shocked, and by the time I'm leaving there, they're actually grateful and thankful that I've come in there and showing them a new way. Just a simple decision. It's just literally a simple decision that they've had to make in order to you recoup those funds. And I mean, I met with I signed a guy here this last Friday, and he was doing he was paying about $1,500 a month in fees. We literally saved him about $1,400 a month. And I mean, I was like, my thing to them is, what can you do with that money? What are you going to do with that extra income? And this guy was like, we're actually going to hire a bookkeeper. We're going to be able to manage our money better. So I mean,
Awesome.
we're not just shaving a few dollars off these folks' bills. That's not what we're doing. We're literally changing the way that they process, and it's really worked out well for me here.
What an awesome story. And I love that you ask them, folks. If I hope you're taking a lot of notes. I'm sitting here trying to keep up, taking notes, and I hope all of you guys are. He just shared like 3 or 4 gold nuggets right there. One of them is asking them, when you get to the savings, actually asking them, like, care about their business, right? What can you do with that? And I mean, I've spent a lot of time in the field. I don't have to tell you, Dustin, but when you ask people that, they have an answer.
They have an answer.
They already have it spent in their head. They know what they can do with it. Would you agree with that?
I would agree. I got to throw this in here, Wagner. So this lady that I signed up in Livingston, Montana, it's right next to the ski resort. And I think we were saving her about $1,800 a month. I was like, what would you do with that money? She had a specific thing. I will buy a new set of skis. I will buy a season pass, and I will ski on Fridays. And I followed up with her like a year later. Well, 6 months later, it was winter time then. And I followed up with her, and she did. She bought a new pair of skis. She bought a season pass, and she takes half a day Friday and skis. And I just thought that was the coolest thing ever. So
that's what it's about right there, folks. It's just what we can do. Some people will say they'd get a new sign. Some people a new truck. Some say, I'm going to live a better life. I'm going to go skiing on Friday. And folks, I'm assuming that's the pickle barrel. This lady is awesome. Go onto YouTube or go onto our testimonial videos. Check out Easy Pay Pickle Barrel Testimonial, something like that. You'll find it. This lady's awesome. She'll back up everything Dustin just said. Awesome stuff. But I love that. You can hear that Dustin believes in what he's doing, right? He knows he's not just going. He just said it. Guys, we're not just shaving off a couple of bucks, right? We can make an impact, not only on their business, but on their life. I mean, that's a life impact if we can help somebody go skiing 1 out of 7 days and get a new pair of skis on her. So, I mean, awesome stuff. Obviously, you believe in it, Dustin. You talked about having fun. This is one of those gold nuggets. You're having fun. when you walk in the door, and there's no right or wrong, and whatever your guys' pitch is out there, you know, we all have different personalities, but you're talking about having fun. So how long does it take for you to kind of get down to business? You walk in the door, you crack a joke, or what's your like?
I walk in the door, you know, and typically I know right away. I mean, the longer you do this, the better you get at it. But you know who's in charge right away. You know, you can sense that. You can tell. You know, obviously, hey, you know, you're the gal in charge. You look like you're the queen bee here. And you know, how's your day going? And I you know, hey, really quick here, I just wanted to let you guys know I wanted to go over that program we talked about here on the phone. Typically, I set some appointments on the phone,
Right.
So I get right down to business. You know, I'm going over a program that you know eliminates all those fees. Let's sit down. You got a place we can sit down. Tell me about your business, and that's just how it goes. Yeah.
I love it. And because there's a lot of folks on here that are doing, we have a lot of people doing door to door. There's some people that are doing the phones where you call, you set an appointment, then you come in person. You've done both, right? So right now, Dustin is setting up appointments. Do you think one works more than the other? This is always another question I ask when some people don't have the skill to do both. Dustin does. He's very talented. So you've done both. So
yeah, to be blunt and honest with you, Joe, I mean, I enjoy the appointments, but I also enjoy door to door. So like, if I do have a break in my schedule, we'll go do walk-ins also, and you know, I love those too, and they're successful also. So I wouldn't say that one's better than the other. I think, Joe, both you and I know there's 100 different ways to skin a cat, but you know, I enjoy those door to door. I have a good time doing those too. You know, my opening line is, "Hey, you guys are still set up on that old system, right?" And then I just go into the sales book, and that seems to be that worked for me on a deal here last week. So
there's another gold nugget right there. Finish that. You walk in, hey, you guys are still on the old system. If I'm the owner, I'm gonna be like, "What old system? What do you say?"
What? I say, well, great. Yeah, you got what old system? Well, you know, that old pricing structure for, you know, where you're paying all those fees to process the cards. And they're like, yeah, we are paying those fees. And I say, well, there's a program where you don't have to pay the fees. Let me show you really quick. And I just go straight into the sales book.
And then he goes right into it. So
yeah.
if you're new, maybe you haven't even been in the field yet, or you've had your first couple of days and you're just trying to find yourself, you know, there's a great line for you.
And right? I mean, I'll be honest with you. The reason I set the appointments is it's cold out here in Montana, so it's nice to go back in your car and warm up and not be walking around. So, yeah,
love it, man. So you've been slaying it. What's the biggest account? What's the biggest account you signed in the last couple of weeks? You got any monster ones?
So I just signed one up. They showed me a statement for 105,000. I did the math. They average around like, I think about 90,000 a month, with their 12 months combined. So yeah, that was a nice account.
And so that's what we do this for, and kind of going full circle. That's huge, folks. Sometimes you get a monster one doing 90, or you can go sign 18 accounts doing $5,000. Right? It's the same thing when it comes to residuals. It's the same thing. At the end of the day, Dustin will make the same, whether it's 18 accounts at $5,000 or one account at 90, right? So kind of going backwards a step, because I went out of my own sequence here, but you spent so much time in the property management. I don't want to focus on the property management, but you spent a lot of years with that. And this is something I've never directly asked Dustin. I've known Dustin for a long time, and this isn't a right or wrong. It's kind of a personal question, but the time goes by either way, right? So you spend a lot of years doing property management, not building residuals, right? And then one day you go and sign one deal that can pay your rent. Does that feel like time lost? Or how do you feel now about looking at other things, and is the time worth it, or was it a lesson? And that's a personal question. Is like, how do you feel about that time spent away at this point?
Sorry, Joe. Can you say that again? I just had someone walk in my house here.
No problem. I was talking about the property management company you have, and you spent years building that.
Yeah.
You were working on something that didn't have residuals, and you're sharing with everybody how you signed this $90,000 account that in one afternoon, one yes could pay your rent and your car payment, right? In one deal. And
Yeah.
this is more of a personal question. Does that time that you spent away from the industry because you took that break and went and built a great company, but now the company's gone without residuals, do you feel like it was time lost? Do you feel like it's worth looking at other things for the people on here that are kind of wishy-washy? I mean, how do you feel about this compared to other things that don't have residuals? And was that time lost, or was it a good lesson?
It was a good, I mean, there's a little of both, Joe. I mean, I'm a little torn on both. It was time lost because I know, because I've done this before. I know what residual, I know what residual income can bring in, but you know, it was a good lesson also to go right back to residual income. You know, you got to have that residual income. So there was a lot of time lost with the property management, but at the end of the day, you know, here I am.
Yep.
And I'm back on track and going after what was really worth it. And I'm going to tell you guys right now, if you've ever received a residual check, there's not a better feeling than getting paid for work you've done 6 to 12 months ago. It's awesome. And I just didn't have that with property management, and that's what I've been missing. And so I'm really, I'm glad to be building that back up here with EasyPay.
Awesome.
And it's been a great process.
I appreciate the honesty and the answer there. And hey, if it feels good at 6 to 12 months, try 6 to 12 years.
Exactly.
Imagine getting paid every month for something you did 6 years ago. Exactly. It is freaking awesome, and it takes a lot of hard work to build that. And Dustin, I got to give you a lot of kudos, man, because an entrepreneur is.
Sorry, Joe.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Go ahead.
I was just saying, I got to give you a lot of kudos, because anyone on here that's an entrepreneur or built a business, whether it's wildly successful or just your first couple that you bump your head and maybe they don't work, it's hard, right? To build something. For Dustin to build a property management company from the ground up with no property management experience, by the way, takes a lot of hard work. So Dustin, what are the similarities? Is there any difference at all between building one business versus another? Obviously the product is different, but what does it take? What does it take?
There's nothing different, Joe. There's nothing different from doing what I did with the real estate to doing what I'm doing now. There's nothing different. I mean, the only thing, literally, you guys, you just have to have that burning desire to get the hell out of bed every day, to focus on your goals. Like, I have goals written down on my on the back wall of my bedroom. I look at them every morning when I get up. I'm going to accomplish these goals. I'm working towards these goals. It hasn't been any different than any other thing that I've done in my life. Whether it's, I'll go back even to playing college football. I mean, the same drive, the same motivation. It took the same amount of energy, and that's really what it comes down to.
I love it, man. Everything you just said just hit the nail on the head. So I'm going to go over a couple of gold nuggets that Dustin left, just in case you guys aren't taking some notes. There's a couple of key things that he said I want to reiterate, and then I just got 2 more questions. We're almost at 30 minutes here. It's been an awesome call. I hope you guys are getting a lot out of this. I love this. I could do these calls for 2 hours. I won't do that because I'm probably the only one that could do it for 2 hours. So one of the great lines that Dustin used, because I know we have a lot of new people on here. One of them, I'll reiterate, he kind of talked about when he's doing door-to-door. Hey, just curious, are you guys still on that old structure on your plan? Like, well, what do you mean? Well, let me make this easier. Do you pay fees to accept cards, or do you not? Well, yeah, of course I do. Oh, okay, so you're on the old structure. I'd like to share a new structure with you where you don't actually pay those fees anymore. Okay, so that was gold, okay? You got to go play around with it, but that one was gold. Another one that I wrote down here was I'm your local guy, right? Yeah. Or gal. Obviously, guy, Dustin being a guy. So I'm your local guy or gal. Folks, that can go so far for you. I don't care where in the United States you live. If you live in upstate New York, they'd rather deal with somebody from upstate New York than someone over the phone in California. It's just human nature. I would rather have an insurance agent right down the street in Boca Raton than someone in Michigan, okay? So when you're out there, if you're doing door-to-door, if you're working local, I know other people are on the phone, so if you're working local, don't forget to promote that you're local, that you're gonna answer your phone, that you're the first point of contact, not customer service with some company that puts them on hold for 30 minutes. By the way, our hold time at customer service is like under a minute, just FYI so you know, but it still doesn't hurt for you to be the local guy or gal and for you to promote that. So that was the other thing I wrote. And then the last one that I wrote, and you had a lot, Dustin, but he said it's a simple decision to recoup those funds.
Yeah, yeah.
So when he gets through it, I can just imagine he's doing his pitch, he's got his flyer, he's got his material, he's done the math, okay? There's a point, here's one of the things. We don't normally go this depth into pitch on these calls, but I want to point this out. One of the hardest parts that new people have is, how do I close the deal, right? Like you've gone over it. It's really simple. I can explain that it's only $90. All that stuff's easy. I can get them to grab their bill, but how do I close it, right? So there's this bridge, between when you're done presenting it and then actually pulling an app out and closing the deal. And that's where so many new people have a hard time because they don't want to go through that awkward moment right there. And I call these bridge closes, right? There's one line bridge closes that kind of walk you over the presentation into the close without it being awkward. And this line that Dustin just gave, that's a Dustin line. This is going to be a D money. It's D money, right? D money line. You look at a merchant. So at the end of the day, Mr. and Mrs. Merchant, it's a simple, single decision to recoup your funds. The hardest part about it is what we're doing right now. Let's get that money back in your bank account.
Let's give her a test drive.
And ask them for their address. Dustin, is that pretty close? I know you well enough. That's kind of your bridge close, yeah?
I just and then I just say and there'll be a second or two with a little bit of silence, and then I just say, give us a test drive. What's your legal business name?
Give us a test drive. So folks, play around with stuff like that. And I think there's been so many gold nuggets, you can't say which one is the best, but the difference between making $100,000 in residual income in 12 months from now and making $1,000 in residual income in 12 months from now is being able to actually close the deal. Right? And those bridge closes, getting past that awkward pause is a critical skill. And normally we don't have this kind of conversation on a testimonial call, but Dustin, that line was so dang good. I wrote it down. I had to share that. So I hope that, go ahead.
That's great. No, that line really really works for me. And it's just looking at, if I could add one thing too, Joe.
Yeah.
It's just saying with an extreme amount of confidence.
Dustin, I'm going to ask you the same question that I ask absolutely everybody on every one of these calls. Sam and me always ask, if you could give one piece of advice. Doesn't have to be merchant services, just about being a success or building a business or being a great person or just whatever. If you could give one piece of advice for people that are looking to thrive and grow, which typically everyone on this call is that type of person, what would your one piece of advice be that you could leave for everybody?
That's a big question, Joe. I mean, probably for me, the biggest piece of advice I would say for new people, for anyone that even wants to start any type of business or anything, it's overcoming fear. Fear. You gotta leave that at the door. You really do. I mean, you just gotta leave it at the door and tell yourself that you're not going to let anything stop you. And, I think that's some people, that can be some of the biggest hang up that they have is fear to just jump into this, give it a shot. What's the worst thing that can happen? You go out there and sign a deal that does $100,000 a month, So That would be my best bit of advice is, step out of that fear. Just go for it, man.
I love it.
Freaking go for it.
Just go for it. I love it, man. Dustin, much love. I appreciate it. I've had a great time on this call here. I hope that everyone that's been on here or everyone that is listening to the recording of this is getting something. I hope that you took some great notes. I hope you got some gold nuggets. I encourage you to follow Dustin's advice and overcome whatever it is that may be holding you back from being at 110%, from committing to this and going out there and making yourself a nice book of business that will pay you for many, many, many years to come. Everybody have a great night. D-Money, much love, man. Great call.
Peace, guys.
Much appreciated. Have a great night, everybody. Don't forget, tomorrow morning, Nick McKnight will be holding the call, 9 a.m. Eastern time. Don't forget to plug into the webinar, folks. Have a great night. See you at the top.